This is my favorite lens of all time, and this is the Tamron 35-150. And if you're into sports photography or videography or portraits, different, modeling, different stuff like that, this lens is perfect for that. In my opinion, for run and gun shooters and folks that need versatility, this is probably the best lens that was ever created for the E-mount system, which is super interesting because this isn't a native Sony lens. But with that being said, the versatility that I've been able to get out of this over the last year or so, almost a year since I've purchased this, has been phenomenal. Now, I originally switched from the Sony 70-200 f4 macro, and I didn't necessarily switch from it. I still use this lens all the time. This just used to be like my daily driver for sports photography and videography, because I do a lot of sports like basketball and track and cross country, baseball, stuff where it's like a shorter distance where I don't need kind of the longer lenses, if you will. And so with that being said, I was always able to get away with that 70-200, specifically when using it with the crop sensor like my FX30, where I get a little bit more reach because on the FX30, that 70 becomes a 105-300. And this 35-150 becomes basically a 52 to 225-ish, somewhere around there on this crop sensor lens, right? On the crop sensor body. Now, recently, Tamron released the 35-100, and there's a lot of videos on that talking about, well, maybe that's too redundant because, there's a 24-70, there's a 28-105, there is the 70-200. The Tamron itself has the 70-180. There's the Sony 50-150. So there's a lot of different lenses that one kind of is like right in the middle. But the reason I'm considering it is because the only con that I have for this lens is that this is a freaking chunker of a lens. It's massive and it's very heavy. And so that's the only thing that stops me from using this lens. Usually I'm using the 24-1.4, which is on my Sony a7C II right there that I'm filming on. That's the only thing that stops me from grabbing this lens is like, man, I don't feel like dealing with that lens right now. But when I'm doing a basketball video or, photo shoot or something like that, I'm taking this lens because you don't really need the crispness of a prime, but you need the versatility of the zoom, right? And so 35 on the wide angle when I'm on a full frame sensor, and then 52-ish on the crop sensor, and that's fine when I'm on the baseline or even in the coach's box or somewhere in that area. But at the same time, I can go all the way out into the stands and still get that full court, 45-degree angles, behind the basket, stuff like that. And so I still definitely think this is worth it in 2026. I know the 35-100 just released, but I don't think it's apples to apples, and I don't necessarily think that it's a replacement. And so I think you're still safe buying this in 2026 so far. Now, I know there's a lot of rumors as far as other lenses that are coming out, but there just isn't anything on the market with this much versatility. If you think about everything that this lens is capable of, from 35-150, 52-225 on a crop sensor, it just, and you can even do a speed booster and things like that and get even more. You just don't have anything else like this on the market. The only downside to this is the size. If you're in the market for for a versatile lens, this is a one size fits all. You can literally go 16-35, which they also have that in Tamron. You can go 16-35 and then this 35-150, and you pretty much have everything you need. The Sony 50-150 is also a fantastic lens. I've not shot with it, but I've seen so many different videos on it. But it's an f2.0 all the way through, whereas this is an f2 to 45-ish, 50-ish, and then it goes to f2.8. So with that being said, you really can't get anything better than those two lenses. It's just that the Sony lens is $4,000. Like, this one ranges from $1,400 to about $1,700, depending on where you purchase it. But that Sony lens is going to be almost $4,000. That's just too much freaking money for what you're getting, because you're not far off with this. And so if you're on the market, I just want to do a quick video. I still really love this lens. It's one of the lenses that I use most often. I am thinking about getting a 35-100 to be completely transparent with you, because in reality, that is a 52-150 on a crop sensor lens for $899 with a constant 2.8. And it's the same quality as this lens, which is freaking phenomenal. And so if you think about it, that is the Sony lens at a fifth of the price. That's crazy. but I mean, you lose a stop, right? You lose a stop, 2 to 2.8. So I don't know. You let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I've been getting a lot of questions still on this lens here in 2026. People are still asking me if I enjoy this lens. And so I wanted to do a follow-up. I've had no issues with this lens. I don't do all of the fancy stuff like program the buttons and things like that. I use it pretty much straight out of the box. I love the fact that you have those markers there so you can know what you're at: 35, 50, 70, 85, 100, 135, and 150. You have that right at the top of the lens. So when you're zooming and stuff like that, you can see that. And then the buttons, you can program those buttons if you need it. You can switch it between manual and complete auto. You have your focus ring. There is no aperture ring on here, but that's not a major thing for me. I'm used to doing it with the front dial anyway, right there on the FX30. So, and then you can always customize your buttons depending on what body you're using. So all in all, if you're on the market for a lens that needs this much versatility for weddings, for sports photography, videography, for everyday, just versatility, I don't think there's another lens on the market, from a price to value ratio that's better. If there is, you let me know. I'm always open to trying out any type of lens. I'm not agnostic. I have Sony, I have Fuji, I have Blackmagic bodies, and honestly, I think my Pixis is my favorite camera. But it's not always the best camera for the job, but it is my favorite camera, I believe. But I don't know, you let me know your thoughts. If you're new to the channel and you enjoyed today's video, consider subscribing. Looking forward to chatting with you in the comment section below. Let me know what you're shooting with. If there's any particular questions that you have about this, I love this lens. I use it all the time. I still use my macro, my 70 to 200 macro. This gets a lot of use in the studio and on the go for sports when I need longer. Again, that's a 105 to 300 when I put it on the crop sensor. So when I'm doing field sports, football, baseball, stuff like that, I keep these lenses together and I can switch between it. But this is just a chunker of the lens, and this is the only reason why I don't use it all the time and why I'm really considering that 35 to 100. It's like half the size, half the weight, but thinking that it's almost a Sony 50 to 150 for $899, a fifth of the price almost, it's freaking crazy. So I don't know, let me know your thoughts. As always, stay cozy in that crazy world. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.